Welcome to our channel, UpliftQuotes, aspiring words for brighter tomorrow. So let's get to it.
It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. The more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. It is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. War should be the only study of a prince. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Men are so simple of mind, and so much dominated by their immediate needs, that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. It is better to have a reputation for being evil than for being good. A prudent ruler cannot, and must not, honor his word when it places him at a disadvantage, and when the reasons for which he made the promise no longer exist. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise that the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. A prince must imitate the fox and the lion, for the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. It is better to be impetuous than cautious, for fortune is a woman and favors the bold. The injury that is to be done to a man ought to be of such a kind that one does not stand in fear of revenge. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. The main foundations of every state, new states as well as ancient or composite ones, are good laws and good arms. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. A prince should make himself feared in such a way that, though he does not gain love, he avoids hatred. The best fortress is to be found in the love of the people, for although you may have fortresses, they will not save you if you are hated by the people. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. Nature creates few men brave, industry and training makes many. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo. I want to overthrow it. It is necessary for him who lays out a state and arranges laws for it to presuppose that all men are evil and that they are always going to act according to the wickedness of their spirits whenever they have free scope. When you disarm your subjects, however, you offend them by showing that either from cowardliness or lack of faith, you distrust them, and either conclusion will induce them to hate you. Men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. All men have eyes, but few have the gift of penetration. Hence it comes about that all armed prophets have been victorious, and all unarmed prophets have been destroyed. There is no other way to guard yourself against flattery than by making men understand that telling you the truth will not offend you. It is not titles that make men illustrious, but men who make titles illustrious.